You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Marchese, mining analyst for the Morgan Report, which you can find online at silver-investor.com. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Great to be back, Jim.
Alan Greenspan, former Fed chair, mouthing off, you said, at the New Orleans Investment Conference last week. What was the shocking thing he told us?
You should say shocking. Should have asked shocking things. I mean, quite a bit. And I don't know if he's going senile or trying to repent for all the harm he's caused, because he knew what was right. He's written papers about it when he was younger. But I'll just read some quotes. Taking this from an article Merck Investments put out yesterday, and it has select quotes from the conference. And when asked about the gold standard, Greenspan comments, the gold standard is not possible in a welfare state, basically hinting, saying the U.S. is a welfare state. And then it's pretty shocking. The question's asked, who finances all these social programs we have? And Mark Faber said, was criticizing, Greenspan and the Fed. Then Greenspan replies, no, Mark, you have it backwards. It's the fiscal side that controls everything. We do what Congress tells us to do. And, the Fed is supposed to be independent, put in quotes. I mean, we never thought, no one really thought the Fed was independent. Who knows about the Federal Reserve? Greenspan, Mark Faber asked him that exact question, and then Greenspan replies, I never said the central bank is independent. So, that's quite a shock. He's really the first former member of the FOMC or the any governor of the Federal Reserve banks to say this in public. And then they move on to what about QE? What are your thoughts on that? And he says the Fed's balance sheet is a pile of tinder, quote, but it hasn't been lit yet. Inflation will eventually have to rise. And I'll just go through it. The next question to Greenspan is, why do central banks still own gold? Greenspan kind of dodged the question, and but he did say gold has always been accepted without reference to any other guarantee. So basically, it's the ultimate payment. It's the most secure, indicating that gold, not this paper money fiasco game that's going around the world now.
And also with Greenspan saying the Fed isn't independent, well, wouldn't that back up the tapes released by Carmen Segarra, where she said we're manipulated by the big banks? They tell the Fed what to do, and if it's not good for Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, then it's not good for anybody. Just like the old saying, what's good for GM is good for America. Well, here he's saying Congress is manipulating them. She's saying the banks are manipulating them. Why do you need them at all if they're busy being manipulated?
I would think that Greenspan tends to be more correct, because the federal bank or the commercial banks and the Fed member banks can only make money because of the Fed. They increase the amount of excess reserves in this banking system by buying securities on the open market, and banks can use the money multiplier to originate loans and generate profits. So it's hard to imagine how the banks tell the Fed what to do, and it makes more sense that Congress tells them what to do, because they have a lot more control on who will get, if a chairman will get reappointed, and so on. And then Greenspan, lastly, he's asked about the price of gold, and the question is, where will the price of gold be in 5 years? Greenspan replies, higher. And then he's asked how much. Greenspan says measurably. So, it's kind of odd that he said that, especially because in older FOMC minutes and at meetings afterwards, he said, should the price of gold rise, we will sell gold in increasing quantities. But, they've sold so much. So, it's just ironic.
More with Chris Marchese right after this.
More and more people are looking to the internet for intelligent, riveting, and thought-provoking interviews. To advertise on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com, call 604-699-8600, 604-699-8600.
Welcome back. We're speaking to Chris Marchese, mining analyst for the Morgan Report. What kind of an impact do you think this referendum is going to have in Switzerland at the end of next month, asking should we return to the gold standard?
Well, I think it's going to have a big impact either way, more so if it passes. And it's not because of what the Swiss National Bank will buy. It's the change in psychology and sentiment about the metals. And, Switzerland will, have a strong economy, not that much after should it pass and be implemented. So, early polls shows it in favor of passing, but, we never know. But yeah, that's definitely potentially a big event in precious metals markets.
Right. I mean, their proposal is to have their currency backed by 28% gold. I'm thinking maybe perhaps they already hold a lot of gold so that, making it 28% wouldn't be that big of a stretch. Is that possible?
They actually sold a lot of their gold at the lows in the price of gold. Then they have to be able to back up all bank reserves. And remember, they pegged to the euro, and they still are. And by doing that, they had to print a ton of money. So the reserves, went much higher. So it's going to be a considerable amount.
So just like their cheese, there could be holes in this gold plan.
Oh yeah, there definitely will be. It's not perfect, Why not 100% gold standard? Why do you need fractional reserve banking? What it is just, it's inflationary, and, what we have in the U.S., it's basically legalized counterfeiting. But only banks are allowed to do that. People aren't. So it'll definitely be better, but, it won't be ideal.
Chris, thanks a lot for chatting with us.
My pleasure.
And congratulations, by the way, with your San Francisco Giants taking the World Series.
Oh, yeah. 3 in 5 years.
Are the streets of San Francisco still there?
Yeah, a little. Some are standing.
Well, thanks again, Chris.
My pleasure.
My guest has been Chris Marchese, mining analyst for the Morgan Report, which you can find online at silver-investor.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at TalkDigitalNet. We're also up on YouTube. You can forward comments to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.